Okay, so I keep telling people that communism is taking over, and they're just like, no, no, couldn't be. It's just like the worst thing possible. How could anybody even believe in communism? Well, it turns out that there's a study, and 36 or 37% of millennials believe that communism is a good idea. I guess they don't teach this communism in history on Mao and Cambodia, how they massacred millions of people. Stalin probably killed more people than the Germans did in World War II. And if they think that, the woke awakening of communism is going to leave them as experts and move them to the top and put them in the palaces, I think they have another thing coming. I think they need to learn about how Xi Jinping had his own father murdered, how there was a little boy in Stalin's communism that also had his father murdered, and then they made him um, a portrait of communism, and then he became up there. And I guess that's why Black Lives Matter is telling you to get rid of your parents and your family if they're not kneeling to Black Lives Matter. I mean, this is absolute insanity. So I would say to anybody, whether they're Democrat or they're Republican, and they think that there's this far left movement within the Democrat Party isn't coming out after you or what you have worked for or your family has worked for, is a fairy tale. And we have Ilhan Omar saying that she'll stop at nothing basically to change the distribution of wealth the way that she sees fit. And I guess all the other Black Lives Matter people see fit. The democracy will go out the window. There will be massive killings. I mean, could we say that, 50 million, 100 million, if it's the same thing that happened in Cambodia? One third of the people will die. They'll execute them. I think Mao's China was about the same amount of people that they hung out on the streets. They had children murder their parents, 10, 12, 13-year-olds murdering families, people, anybody in their way. Right now, today in China, they have the millennial or the Uyghur camps, and those Uyghur camps are having people for, again, their organs. So if you need a heart transplant, go to China. They'll have one ready for you whenever you want. And that's basically impossible because a heart only lives outside of a body for 4 days. So if you want a heart, go to China. You want a liver, go to China. They'll have somebody waiting for you. And they're sterilizing the Uyghurs. And for any of you Muslim, Islamic people out there, if you're thinking, let's vote for the Democrats, I think what I guess I'm getting at is the Democrats really should look at their far left group and tell them to go start their own party called the Woke Party. Let's put the Woke Party as the Communist Party and really put them up for what they really are and see what kind of votes they get. But they don't really care about democracy, so they're just going to push their way in there, get into power, and F everything up. I think that everybody should be talking about this. The BLM is not about Black Lives Matter. Look how many young children have died over the past couple of days. The murder rates have gone through the roof. You have a guy walking his 6-year-old child across the street get gunned down on the street right in front of his daughter. And you have other, the young girl in the 8-year-old girl that at a Black Lives Matter protest that gets gunned down by two different people in the car. You have several others in I think it was either Chicago or New York. these people's lives matter. The families must be just hurting. So again, you have the protesters, and I don't think, some of them have great intentions, I'm sure, but do they really look at the the ideas behind what Black Lives Matter stands for, and what they're getting into, and who else is actually in the protest with them? You have in Provo the guy pulling the gun out, shooting the driver, another guy waving his gun as he's driving away. You have another incident where protest, and a young attorney pulls a gun out, shoots the guy. Luckily for these people that none of them are dead, but I'm sure they're going to be, again, effed up for their life. Getting shot's probably not something you recover from quite easily. So, there's other ways to protest, and now you have a lady that's out there telling you, oh, this is how you get a safety hammer and you smash out somebody's window in the protest, and you can open their seatbelt, and then you can drag them out and beat them down. Like, no wonder people are running people over in these protests and not stopping. They're scared for their lives. Like, wouldn't you? Would you stop? I don't think so. You had another lady with her child in the car phoning the police, and the police said, sorry, there's nothing we can do. So she runs one of the persons over after they pull a gun on her, and then the news calls her probably a white supremacist because everybody's a racist, right? Like, it's so unbelievable that the left, oh, racist, everybody's a racist, and then people are buying into this. Are they really? Like, is there really racism like predominant? Where I don't see it. I talk to people, and we're in Canada here, but I talked to a Mexican guy today, and I'm like, so, like, has anybody ever said anything? He's, no. Anything said to your children? No. So, not racist, not systemically racist. Maybe there's a bad apple out there somewhere, an idiot. But is it systemic? Is it, like in the systems? No. So why do we have Pierre Trudeau or Justin Trudeau kneeling to the woke mob? Like, no, we're not systemically bad. We're progressing over time. People learn to get better. People have better languages as we're going along. But really, again, if the woke want to start a communist party and actually try to get votes and work their way in, go for it. But I think the larger conversation has to be, what is communism? What happens in communism? And what's the end result? Because the people that think that they're going to be pushing for, the agenda for them probably have something else in mind as the party grows and they get the power and you think you're getting power, and then you're gone. Because again, they probably killed 1/3 of the people as these communist parties get into play. How many people do you think that are on the good side for that one, the other 2/3? Yeah, if you're playing for power, they probably don't like you. So everybody must get a cooler head, start looking at the real issues, stop calling people racist, stop the divide, look for positive energy. This negative energy is it's just horrible. Like, people are good for the most part. You, again, have some people that are bad apples, but for the most part, people care about their health. They care about their family's health. They care about their children, their grandchildren, the environment around them. So again, let's go on a positive energy note and look for a better future.